So everybody can see us on Facebook and YouTube. All right, it says I'm live. See what happens here. All right, a couple more minutes, we'll get started. Sweet. It looks like we are streaming to YouTube and Facebook. So if you're joining us on Facebook Live or YouTube, we appreciate you being here. We're pretty excited because we were pretty frustrated last month when we were all excited about our new streaming service that we were paying for to get everything out to Facebook and YouTube, and it did not work. And that is one of those technology things that is frustrating, especially when you're a technology company. For all intents and purposes, you would think that if anybody was going to be good at streaming something, it should be us. So anyway, I have to give it to my man Alex for making all that work. All right, just another minute and we will get rolling. Go ahead and let everybody know, in case you can't tell, I do work from home, and so we are doing this this webinar from my home office, and we have about 17 or 18 Amazon deliveries a day, and my dogs are surprised every time, and you may hear them barking when Amazon delivers my wife's packages. So just go ahead and let the secret out there that this is a home office, and warn you that if you hear my dogs and are a parade of Amazon deliveries, I apologize in advance, but that's life. All right, it is 2 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get rolling. And again, appreciate you guys being here. Those of you on Facebook joining us, I'm glad you're here, and YouTube as well. So across the board, thanks again for being with us, and we want to make the most of your time. My goal today is to help you out and not sell you anything. That's not what we're all about here. Of course, yeah, there's no secret. We are a marketing agency, and we market for companies, but we also like to give. We like to give. We like to invest in our community. We like to talk shop. I probably like to talk too much, and so that's the goal here today. And we believe that if you give, that it comes back to bless you. And so that's who we want to be. So we're not trying to. It's not any kind of bait and switch today. We're going to go through a lot. In fact, I would like today to be really a workshop for you, and give you an opportunity to actually put some numbers on paper and make some goals. I don't plan to just spout a ton of information at you. We're going to pause for a moment here and there and really let you do some of the work, and throw in some of the throw out some ideas and make some progress, because I have trouble working on my business, and I'm sure, like a lot of you, it's hard to pull back because I'm in the business every day trying to keep my head above water and keep things moving, keep the machine going. Not sure if you can identify with that, but because of that, it makes it difficult to work on the business. Andy Stanley talks about working in the, and I'm sure plenty of other gurus do, but talks about working on the business rather than working in the business. And so today I would hope for the next 45 minutes or so that we can work on our business together, and that you would leave here with some practical tips, some goals on paper, and things that you can execute in your business that I think will help you crush it in 2022. So whether you are retail, whether you are looking for more leads, whether you're looking for more online sales, whether you're looking for more foot traffic in the door of your location, you're looking for more phone calls, looking for more jobs, looking for more service calls, whatever industry you're in, whatever vertical you're in, I think you'll find today extremely practical and helpful. And so let's jump in. If you got any questions, feel free to throw those into chat, and or feel free just to say hello in chat so I know you're here. And we'll be watching Facebook and YouTube too, so that you can see what's going on there. So let's get rolling, shall we? So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to set some goals for 2022 and really dive into how many leads that you need to hit your target. So if your goal for 2022 is to increase your revenue from 500,000 to 750,000, how many leads is it going to take you to get to that extra 250,000? And that's going to depend on your close rate. We're going to talk about 3 fundamentals of marketing success. And we want to talk specifically about how to optimize your website for conversion, not just we build a ton of websites every month, and it's easy for business owners to get bogged down in the cool factor of their website. And we're not saying we want websites to be ugly, but we don't want to get so bogged down in the cool factor that we miss out on what helps people convert from just a kicking the tires on your website to actually becoming a client, becoming a customer, making a purchase, making a phone call. What are some things that we can do to help people convert? We also want to talk about the big picture of all the online marketing channels that you should be tapping into to maximize your lead flow online. So we'll talk about some different platforms. I want to give you a few heads up on a few trends for 2022. And then really help you develop a custom action plan. Nothing too complex, but a few things that you're going to put into place in 2022. And take inventory of where you are now and what you need to do now. So one of the things that I would go ahead and ask you to start thinking about and put it on a piece of paper there, or if you downloaded our notebook that we've got, we'll drop the link in chat. We do have a notebook and a worksheet for you, and I'll explain the difference between the two. But there is a workbook, and we'll drop the link in chat so you can get that. And there's some places for you to take notes in there, but you can do it just on a sticky note. But I would encourage you to go ahead and think, if you know it, go ahead and look. What were your goals for 2021, and have you met them? We're almost at the end of the year, so have we hit those revenue goals? Did we hit the lead goals? Do you even know what they are, or has there even been a tracking system in place to be able to know what they are? And so hopefully, because these numbers are important, and you want to get to the place where when someone asks you, not that they should ask you, but if they do, or if you're in a workshop like this and you need to know how much revenue what's our monthly recurring revenue? What are we bringing in every month? How many jobs do we need to get to hit our revenue goals? What's our revenue, our average monthly revenue been for 2021? Do you know those numbers? And I realize those fluctuate. A lot of you are in industries that are seasonal. So we totally get it. And then, like I said, we develop the custom action plan, and based on where you are now, like we just said, and then what do you need to do to get ready for 2022? So if you stay to the end, we're going to give you a couple things. We have a couple, not really surprises, but bonuses for you. And one of those is the ultimate online marketing checklist. And there's about 50 good things with instructions in there, things that you can do on your own without paying an advertising agency like us, but things you can do on your own to move the needle in your online presence. And if you'll carve out 30 minutes a week, an hour a month, however you want to do that, and go through this online marketing checklist and go through these things and really just take a few minutes and do one a week even, I guarantee you'll see some progress in your online marketing. And then we've also got this this poster, this graphic for you that lays out kind of a flow of all the platforms that you want to make sure that you are optimized on and that you're taking advantage of to get the word out about your company, because all of these things complement each other. And if you've got this in front of you, then it really gives you a framework on what direction to go next and what platforms to be looking at, and where to really optimize your online presence. So stay to the end. We'll give you those. All right. So one of the questions we like to ask is, what's the hardest part about marketing your business online? If you've got an answer for me, throw it there in the chat, or make a comment here on Facebook or YouTube. Drop that in the comments. But what's the hardest part about marketing your business online? Finding the time. Someone mentioned finding the time. Yeah, finding the time is, I totally get that, because like I said a minute ago, you're probably up to your eyeballs in to-do lists and people to call back and things to do and meetings. And I get it. So carving out time to focus on online marketing is difficult. Knowing how much return on the investment it is, measuring the return on the investment. I totally get that too. If you're not, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, if you're not tracking that ROI, if you're not, and if you don't have a system in place to track the calls, to know that these calls came from this avenue, then yeah, there's no way to know that there even is a return on the investment. And so, is it worth running that Facebook ad? I know a lot of people who are just throwing money at Facebook and seeing what sticks, and not with no real strategy, with no real plan, and pretty much, probably more than likely, wasting a ton of money that and not getting a whole lot of return for it. So yeah, it's not easy. So again, make sure that you download the workbook. That link is there, webinars.socialspheremedia.com. 2022 workbook. So you can go download that there, and there's some resources in there. There's some guides in there, some worksheets in there that'll help you. Even if you don't go through it all now, just looking at that in the future will be something that I think would be beneficial for you. So make sure that you grab that. So let's talk about our why. Why do we do, why do we need to think about this? Why do we need to think through this? Why do we need to talk about this? And let me back up just real quick and at a bigger why. Why are we even running these businesses? Why are we even trying to make sales? Why are we trying to get leads? I've got 5 kids and a wife. And so one of my big whys, why I'm doing all this, is to take care of my family. But also, and this is something, here we are 9 days before Christmas, and just, it's been a big reminder for me, just that one of my whys, why I do this, is not just to have a more comfortable life and take care of my family, which that's a huge priority, but I also want to be a generous person that helps people in my community. There's a lot of people that just need some help. And so I would encourage us all just to include in our value, just being generous. And that's a big why. But moving forward, why do we even need to talk about this? One is, there's so many options, and it can be unclear where to spend your budget. If you've got a marketing budget set aside, you start looking at all the platforms, from Yelp to Angie's List to Yellow Pages to Google ads to Bing ads to Facebook ads to SEO, search engine optimization, to local service ads with Google, the Google guarantee. There's a million places you could spend your money. So how do I know where to spend it? And I talk to a lot of guys who, they've tried this thing for a month and didn't really get anything, didn't get any traction. And they're on their 7th month of throwing $1,000 at some platform that really got them nowhere. And sometimes they're not spending enough on the platform. Other times they didn't give it enough time. A lot of times a month isn't enough. And other times there was no plan and no real strategy. And so it just didn't work. So that's why we need to talk about this, number one. And so if we look at this graphic, and like I said, we'll give you a downloadable version of this in just a little bit. But like I said, SEO, PPC, there's all these options. YouTube ads, Home Advisors, and some people love Home Advisor. Other people don't have a good experience with Home Advisor. We talk to people all the time. Some guys just love Google ads and have had great, like all of their work comes, like 90% of their calls come from Google ads. And then we have calls, we talk to people and ask them if they're interested in Google ads, and they've been burned one too many times and have no interest in ever running a Google ad again. So there's tons of platforms. And there's tons of ways to lose money on every one of those platforms. And so you're all making a major investment in marketing. And so a lot of times there's just not too much to show for it. And I think that if we will make a plan and come up with a strategy and really get these goals down on paper, that we can make some progress and actually have something to show for it at the end of the month when we've spent this money on budgeting. So if we don't have a clear plan, you can overspend, or even worse sometimes is underspend and underperform. We've had a lot of clients that have come to us with specifically, I think about Google ads in this case, where because there is a minimum viable spend to where if you're not spending this amount of money, you're just, because Google ads, it's an auction, you're bidding against other people. And so if you're not willing to drop the money and you're in a highly competitive industry, like if you're a roofer or water restoration, or you're an attorney, those clicks cost a lot. And for instance, if you're looking to do water damage restoration near Atlanta, those, just clicking an ad, those costs per clicks can be 70, 80, even $100. And so if your monthly budget, you only want to spend $1,000 in Atlanta, well, that's only 12, 15 clicks a month. And how many of those clicks are converting to actually make a phone call? And so maybe you get 4 or 5 phone calls out of that. And then what's your close rate once they make a call? Is it 50%? So you're looking at 2 calls. And that's being really, really generous. But I would say in a lot of industries, restoration is one that comes to mind, and roofing is another one, that if you're not spending a couple to $3,000, then you're really it's not going to perform very well. And so it's not that you're overspending and wasting money and hey, I tried it, I spent $1,000, Google ads just don't work for me. It may actually be that you're not spending enough. And I know that sounds risky. You're saying spend more, but client after client, we've looked at it, we've seen they're not spending enough. And when they trust us, and I get it, it's hard to trust, but when they trust us and take the plunge and start spending some more and are able to compete against their competitors that have deep pockets, then we start to see some traction there. So here's the opportunity. A clear plan with some goals and targets and KPIs, then you've got an opportunity to really push ahead in 2022, crush the competition, make some progress, generate enough leads to hit your targets. But you got to know how many leads is it going to take to hit your target, and you got to have a target. And then if you've got the target and you figure out the math, you do the math. And I'm terrible at math. In fact, I nearly did not graduate high school because of math. Went into my senior year of high school with a failing grade in the lowest math in the state of Georgia that you could take as a senior. At the time in the 90s, it was geometry. No, it was algebra 2. You had to at least make it algebra 2. And I know most people did algebra 2 in their 10th grade year. I did it in my senior year and barely passed that final exam. And I was on track to not graduate because of math. But I did. And so I'm terrible at math, but math is a big part of it. And so we got to push ahead, even if you hate it and you hate setting goals and that's just boring to you. It's something that we've got to do, even though for those of us who are terrible at math. Oh, looks like we're losing see what's up. We're here with my stream, losing video. Try this, see what's up there. Oh, we're back. Can you see me now? Camera was glitching out there. Not sure what's up with that. So sorry about that. Anyway, back to where we were. Maximize your lead flow, hit your sales goals for 2022. That's going to be success. That's what we're trying to do. And so number one, we've got to set some clear goals. What are your goals for 2022? One of my favorite quotes is from a guy named Brian Tracy. He says, success is goals. All else is commentary. So all else, it's just anything else is just talk. And so we're not going to have much success without setting some goals. So I would encourage you now, if you're following along with us, Go ahead and write, what is your goal for 2022? What is your monthly sales goal? What is your annual revenue goal for 2022 compared to what it is this year? Do we even know what our sales have been for 2021 to make an educated, realistic goal for 2022? But I would encourage you to go ahead, and if you know what it is for 2022, write it down. If you're not sure, but you know what 2021 is, go ahead and let's go ahead and come up with a goal. And maybe you may adjust it, you may change course in a few weeks or in a few months, and that's okay. But let's go ahead and at least get something down on paper or on a Google Doc somewhere and say, this is my goal for 2022. Because with clear goals, without some clear goals, you're just kind of like this boat here on the right in the dark, just not really moving anywhere. There's no wind in the sails, not really going anywhere. We're just kind of bouncing around wherever the current takes us. But the guy on the left here, you've got some goals, you've got a destination you're trying to get to. That's like wind in your sails, and you're going to make some progress just by the virtue of having goals. It just tends to, even if you don't hit every target precisely, just by virtue of having goals, you tend to move. And by virtue of not having goals, you tend to not move very much. And that's no good. There was a Harvard study done in 1979. They interviewed a ton of graduates from Harvard. And 84% of those that were interviewed had no specific goals. There just weren't really any goals, which is hard to imagine at an Ivy League college like that. But they admitted they didn't really have any goals and hadn't thought through it yet. 13% responded that they had goals, but they just hadn't written them down. Only 3% of the respondents had clear written goals and a plan to accomplish those goals. So they continued to track those students, those respondents over the next decade or so, and track their careers and their trajectory and their success. And the 13% of the class who had goals, they were earning on average twice as much as the 84% who didn't have any goals. What was even more staggering, what was even crazy, is that 3%, the 3% who had clear, defined goals and written them down, they were earning on average as 10 times as much as the other 97% put together. And so that just goes to show that having some written down clear goals and a plan to get there is going to result in some pretty amazing things. And so you've got to have your written goals and plans. You need to start at a minimum, have a 1-year goal, some quarterly goals, and then drill it down to monthly goals. And this is nothing earth-shattering. You've heard this before. I don't doubt for a minute that you didn't know, or I don't doubt that you didn't already know that you should set some goals. But remember, we're stepping back and working on this. And so while this is not revolutionary, hey, wow, this guy said we should have goals. I've never heard that before. Actually stopping and making those goals. That's, if nothing else, if you don't walk away with anything else from this workshop, if you can just write down your yearly goal and a quarterly goal and maybe even go down to a monthly goal, and you've got that on paper, then this was a win for you. And you could walk away with that. Now, I don't want you to, but I think that would be extremely valuable if you got nothing else. So you've got to have the stopping point at the beginning of the new year and at the end of each quarter to stop and reflect. And how did you do? Did you meet the goals? And what are we going to do? If we didn't, we came up short, what do we need to adjust? And where do we need to go from here? So what are your goals for 2022? Let's think about it like this. What's your revenue target? And then how much is that we divide that by 12, and how much is that monthly? How many calls or how many jobs or how many sales, whatever it is in your industry, how many of those will that require to hit that revenue goal? And you've got to know what your average transaction value is for that to make sense. So here's an example. Let's say that your target revenue is $1.5 million, and monthly, that's $125,000 a month that you need coming in. And so if your average transaction value is $405, let's say that your average ticket is $405, that's going to require that you have 308 transactions a month, or jobs or calls, service calls, whatever it is for you. It's going to take 308 of them to hit that 125,000. So we got to know these numbers. I got to know what my target revenue is. So what is your target revenue for 2022? And then divide that by 12. What is it per month? And then let's come up with what our average ticket is. And that'll tell us how many jobs, how many sales we need to close, how many deals you need to close every month to hit those revenue targets. And so to get those to get those jobs, to get those deals, to get those service calls, whatever those are, you got to know what's your average conversion rate from caller to a booked call or to a sale or to becoming a customer. And then you can divide your call target by your conversion rate, and then we'll know how many leads, how many phone calls we need to get to that 308 jobs per month. So let's say that your average conversion rate from caller to book call, you're booking about 55% of the people who call are actually signing up. They're actually buying something. They're actually buying the insurance policy. They're actually scheduling the service call, whatever it is for you. 55% of them, and that's I think pretty fair for a lot of us. I have a lot of clients who they pretty much, if they get somebody on the phone, they close the deal. And no doubt they're like 90%. And then there's others, you've got a higher price point. I think we kind of fit into that. Our price, we're not the cheapest in town. We're not the most expensive, but we're not hitting 90% close rate. And so if we're at 55% to get to that 308 closed deals, then I'm going to need 560 leads coming in per month, 560 good, solid, quality leads. And so we just do some reverse math. Like I said, I'm terrible at math, but got to do it to figure this out. And so we've made a worksheet for you. So make sure that you've downloaded that. I think this would be really valuable. I'll show you here what it looks like. But this is coming up with your the first tab. It's a Google Doc, and you can go to this. And you won't be able to edit it, but what you can do is pull it up and then go to File and make a copy, and that'll save it to your Google account, your Google Drive, and then you can plug your numbers in. So if let's say my monthly, and we've got the formula set in there, but let's say we just want to get our monthly revenue to $100,000. And if my average ticket, let's just for simplicity's sake, it's $1,000. Then I know I need 100 service calls or sales to hit that monthly goal. And if my average conversion rate is 80%, then I need 125 leads to get that 100 calls at $1,000 a call to hit that $100,000 a month revenue. And then that'll tell me, so my average cost per generated lead comes out, and that varies by market and industry. So you've got to figure out based on how much you're spending on marketing and what's the average cost per generated lead in your industry. But if it's $100 per lead, then I've got to budget $12,500 to hit these goals. And so if my goal is $100,000 in monthly revenue and my average ticket value is $1,000, then I can't just budget $1,000 a month for marketing and expect to hit $100,000 a month in revenue. I've got to be realistic about that. So use this worksheet. I think it'll be very helpful for you. There's also some other tools in there, and you can look through these, and we won't get into the weeds on that, but I think you'll find it helpful. We've even got some marketing calendar ideas there for a few different industries that we work with. Specifically, there's a marketing calendar for electricians in there, so that may be beneficial to you. You can take that and do with that as you please there. So again, what's your goal for 2022 and how many leads is it going to take to get there? So let's talk about the fundamentals for a second. Want to update your marketing message. Want to really update your marketing message and know who is your ideal customer and define that ideal customer, that avatar. You can find this in your workbook. There's a worksheet in there that will take you through that. But what are your avatar for the perfect customer? What's their age? What's their gender? What's their marital status? Really dig in and know what it is about them that makes them a perfect customer for you. What are their challenges? What are their pain points? What are their demographics? Are they 35 years old? Are they got kids? Are they married? How much money are they making? Are they family oriented? Who is it that are they living in the suburbs? Or are they living in urban areas? What is the description? Because you've got to know that person. What are their pains and frustrations? Yeah, are they having trouble getting contractors on the phone or to return their call? I think if you were a contractor and you want to stand out, all you've got to do is start returning people's calls, because most of your competition does not return a call. We tried to hire someone for some work on our house last month, and it was impossible, nearly impossible, to get someone to call us back. We had to have our septic system replaced last month, and I don't know how many septic tank companies we talked to or tried to talk to before we found one that would actually do it. And so it's just crazy. You can stand out by actually resolving their issue. Think about their fears. Think about how they're feared of, I'm afraid of being ripped off just like anybody else. They want to get, I want to get the damage fixed. I want to get the septic system fixed. I want to have a well-kept home. And we were at the point where sewage was bubbling up. So we're having people over and they're like, what's that smell? And so that was my pain point, And so someone finally comes to me and says, oh, that's not good. We want to get that fixed for you. I understand what it's like to be trying to enjoy your fire pit out in your backyard and you smell sewage, which was our experience. And so you want to really understand and empathize with what's going on in their life. And if you can see Joe Jones through Joe Jones's eyes, then you can sell what Joe Jones buys. And there's a little poetry for you. Okay. So what is your message? Why should someone choose to do business with you versus the competition? What sets you apart? Think about that. And there's a spot in your workbook where you can write those down. Or just write them on a sticky note. What benefits do you offer that your target customer avatar will resonate with? I'll give you a few ideas. Some of the messaging that we see works is same day service. Throwing out there the same day service. People, if you can offer that, which I understand is really tough, but if you can offer same day service or emergency service or real 24-hour service, or just boast about the fact that you will be punctual and on time instead of giving a 5-hour window that you may show up, but probably show up late for, that's going to make you stand out. Give some straightforward pricing or upfront pricing, guarantee their satisfaction. We've got some clients who they're in the carpet cleaning industry, and the way they set themselves apart is they do not upsell on site. They give you the price, they give you an estimate, and that is what it's going to be. It's based on how many rooms and square footage. But if you've ever had your carpets cleaned, that the way a lot of carpet cleaning companies make their money is not by actually cleaning the carpet, it's by selling you a bunch of extra stuff when they get there. And people hate that. And so this client has done really well. They stand out in their industry by distinguishing themselves as sticking to the estimate. And make sure that you've got trustworthy technicians and talk about that. Talk about your trusted and experienced technicians, and that will make you stand out. Fast same day service, money saving offers. Ads do way better when there's an offer in there. 24 hours, we'll service 24 hours with no overtime charges. We've got clean cut professional techs. We're going to leave your home cleaner than when we found it, and we're going to guarantee great service. Now, once we've got our message in place and we've thought through how to set ourselves apart, now we can look at media. Now we can look at the platforms. We can, and especially our website, and we'll call that our hub, because your website is your hub. And whether you're working on LinkedIn, you're working on Facebook, YouTube, whatever you've got going on, it's all coming back to your website. It's all pointing back to your website. And so you've got to say, is your website set up to convert visitors to callers? If you look at this slide, one of the first things you see on this roofing website is a spot to enter in your name and email and phone number, or you can call. You can place a quick call, and so we want to make it easy to get in touch with. We want to generations of focused craftsmanship. So we want to give some. We want to appeal to the quality of our work and let everyone know quickly what we do and how to get in touch. That's what people are looking for. How do you do what I need you to do? How can I get in touch with you? And do you look legit? There's nothing worse than going to a website that looks outdated and doesn't have the information that people need. You're not even sure where to find the phone number. So make sure that your website is set up to convert visitors to callers. Make sure that the phone number is big and huge and easy to find, preferably in the top right-hand corner. But when you start to optimize for conversion and make sure that people can text you, and people that they throw in a chat bot, a chat widget, maybe, make it easy to get in touch with you. And when you optimize for conversions, can it really have an impact? I would say that the answer is yes. If you go through and answer these questions and you really optimize, put calls to action, give them the opportunity to engage via chat, use some marketing automation, use texting automation. If you really set the website up and make it easy for people to find the information that they are looking for, then you're going to start to see a difference, and really showcase your reviews, showcase what people are saying about you, but make it easy for people to take action and do something on their website. So you could pull up your website right now, take a look at it, and think: is it built to convert? What do I need to do to tweak? Do I need to make the phone number more obvious? Do I need to offer the option to text us instead of just calling? Because millennials and younger, they're not calling. They want to text you or message you. I'm right on that. I was born in 1980, so I'm kind of like right there on the line. But I know my wife, when we're looking for a service company, or we're looking to buy something, or we need whatever it is, and we've got to talk to someone, if it's up to her, and all things considered and all things being equal, and there are two websites side by side, if we're looking for an electrician and the websites are exactly the same, they both got 5-star reviews, they both got the same prices, whatever, but one of them has the option to text, I guarantee you every time my wife is going to go with the one to text, so that she doesn't have to call someone. And that is becoming that she is not in the minority with that anymore. And so I would encourage you to set up a way for people to get in touch with you via chat, via text, because that's what people are looking for. And then we see that helping conversion rates go way up. All right. And so one of the biggest marketing challenges facing your business is not that you're not getting leads. For a lot of us, you're getting plenty of leads. You're getting plenty of calls or plenty of forms filled out. There's plenty of interest, but they're just not converting because they're not being followed up with. They're being left unconverted. And 90% of web forms fail to convert, not because the form's terrible, but because usually the person in charge that's watching those forms come in, or they're taking phone calls, whoever's responsible for calling back and following up. A lot of times that follow-up gets put off until the end of the day. And so the problem is that we're not following up fast enough. We're just kind of leaving them sitting there. And if leads that are not followed up within about 15 minutes, then they tend to go cold. And on average, depending on the industry, depending on what your vertical is, or what you sell, and this is a little bit different, but for everybody, but on average, most people have got to be followed up with 5, 6, 7 times before they will book, before they'll book a service call, or before they will book a tour of your venue, or before they will schedule a Zoom session to talk to you. And today's consumer prefers to interact via text message versus phone call or email. And so we've got to meet them where they're at and come up with a way to interact with them via text message. So you can leverage the marketing automation to follow up with web forms within the first 2 minutes of submission. And some of you are already paying for platforms. You've got a client relationship management tool that you're already paying for that will automate a lot of this, that will send the texts for you, that will send a follow-up email almost immediately. And that way it's not on you. If you're in the middle of doing something, you are on a phone call or you're in a meeting and someone fills out a form, well, at least they get an automatic email response, or they get a text response through your automation. And it may not even be that you need to set up a new tool. You may already have it and you just don't realize it. So go look at the platforms that you're using for your CRM and see if there's something in there that could help do this for you. Of course, there are lots of platforms out there. There are expensive ones. There's Salesforce, there's HubSpot. We have one that we offer that we customize for our clients. And so there's a ton of them out there. And again, a lot of you are already paying for one and maybe just not utilizing it. But with, again, going back to some math, if we can just increase our conversion rate without even spending another dime on advertising, we can increase our revenue and hit those goals. So let's just assume we're getting 100 leads in a month and our conversion rate's 30%, and we're not really following up like we should. So that means we book about 30 jobs. And if our average ticket, let's assume our average ticket, our average sale is $300. And so that may be a little different for you. If you're in insurance or something, it may be the lifetime value of a client over time. But let's just assume for this illustration's sake, your average ticket is $300. You're going to make $300 off of the sale or a new customer. So 30 jobs at $300 a month, that's $9,000. With those same 100 leads, if we can increase our conversion rate by improving our website, making it where people can text us, automating some of the follow-up, and now we've increased this conversion rate to 70%. Now we've got 70 jobs booked. We've got 70 new customers with that, and at $300, without spending any more on advertising, we're now at $21,000 as opposed to $9,000. So we want to make every lead that you generate, we want to make it more valuable by following up. And so here's something to consider. What 3 conversion elements can you implement on your website? Is it adding a chat option? Is it adding a text option? Is it maybe you don't even have a form on there? Is it adding automation? What do you need to do? And what can you do to make your website more optimized for conversion? And there's a lot of ways. It may just be making your phone number larger. It may be making your phone number where it can be just more visible. Make it textable. That may be that may increase. That may be all you need. Who knows? But start testing those things out. Do the work, and I guarantee you'll see some increase. So let's talk about this real quick, because I want to wrap things up and land this plane. But you've got to know and track your KPIs. You've got to, do you know how many new customers you brought on this month? Do you know those numbers? Do you know how much revenue you brought in this month? Do you know how much revenue you brought in 2022? All right, let's see. Is the can you guys see the slides okay? Okay. I think the worksheet didn't show up. My bad. I apologize. That was like 10 minutes ago. I just saw that. I apologize about that, but the link is in there. You can pull that up and get that worksheet, and I think it'll be pretty helpful. So let's talk about tracking our KPIs. Do you have tracking in place? Are you call tracking? Are you using something like call tracking metrics? If you're running ads or CallRail, there's a lot of tools out there. Do you need to have those in play? If you're running ads, you definitely want to have some kind of tracking in place, or there's just no way to, otherwise there's no way to know that there's any return on that investment. Average cost per call generated. How much is it taking you to generate a call? And you need to know that number. How much does it take you? How much do you have to spend to get a lead? And then to have a simple dashboard to measure your KPIs. And there's lots of CRMs, like I said, HubSpot or Salesforce. You may be already using that. Again, I said we have one that we use and we customize for our clients, and we can see the opportunities, and we know how many leads are in our pipeline, how much those leads are worth, and how much revenue they're generating. And we've got that dashboard, and we believe, because what gets measured gets done. And so it's something I didn't take seriously for a long time, but we've got to measure these KPIs. And if we're not tracking it, then it's just, a lot of times it's going to fall by the wayside. We're not going to hit our goals because we're not tracking it. And so we've set a clear goal for 2022. We've talked about the clarity around our market, knowing our avatar, knowing our perfect customer, talking about clarifying our message. What pain points are we trying to hit with our customers? And then what do we need to do to our website to optimize it for conversion? And now we've talked about how we need to set up that simple KPI tracking dashboard. And so now let's just real quick talk about a few trends. One of the things that we see that are working for a lot of people are Google local service ads. Now, it's not available for every industry, but it's something that Google's rolled out over the past couple of years. So you may want to look at that and see if you're in an industry that Google allows to participate in local service ads, and I'd highly recommend that you participate in that. Again, another trend, shifting from phone conversions to message conversions, whether that be chat or texting. Facebook will allow you to embed Facebook Messenger right on your website so that people can message you. And when they go to your website, they'll see, if they're logged into Facebook, they'll see their profile, and they can shoot a message, and it's going to come to your Facebook, your business page inbox. And so if someone's watching that, it's a free way to have chat. And if you've got someone watching Facebook, which you probably should, then those messages are not going to get are going to get missed. That's the word I'm looking for. And then finally, something that we see is that you've really got to have an all-in perspective. That a lot of times we see people when they want to, well, we'll try SEO, or we'll try some Google ads, or we'll try social media. But really, all of those things on their own, they're not going to hurt. But when you really see momentum, when we really see the big growth, is when these things are all done in tandem, all done, and there's some congruency there, and they're all working together and complementing each other. And that's when we really see things begin to fire on all cylinders. Now, real quick, just what are Google local service ads? You've probably seen them before. They say Google guaranteed. That's what we're talking about. It's a pay per lead service from Google. It's different than just your typical ads that you see down here. And it's different than the organic results that you see down here. But it is a pay per lead service. And if you will follow up with those leads, it can be very effective, and Google will reward you. And we have a lot of clients who turn those on and off. And they turn them on when they need to fill in the gaps when things slow down a little bit from some of their organic marketing, from their SEO and things like that. And you get a Google track number, so you can really tell where exactly those leads are coming from. And the idea here is that if you can show up in the local service ads and the ads and in Google My Business and in the organic search results, you've got 4 opportunities to take up real estate on the search engine results page. And that's incredible. And that's when you begin to dominate the search results. And when people are searching for someone who does what you do, and they see that you are in these 4 spots, it's like, oh, dang, that's who I'm calling, because they are all over the place. That's who I want. And so I won't get into the weeds with Google local services, but essentially you submit an application and you they're going to run a background check on you and your employees. And then you'll end up paying a per lead basis between $25, $45 per lead. And those prices will vary by city and industry, and they'll shift. But we're actually seeing a lot of people get a little bit more bang for their buck than with traditional Google ads. They're getting a little bit better return on their investment with the local service ads. It's a lower cost per lead than pay-per-click, and higher quality leads than Home Advisor a lot of times. So you can go to adwords.google.com/local services, sign up if you want to look into that. And if you need help, if you're not sure what to do, you can reach out to us. We're happy to help you with that. But again, if you'll go to the link that we dropped in chat, you can get the worksheet is right there. You can download that, and it's got the spreadsheet where you can put in your goals and figure out how many leads you need to generate, how many jobs you need to close based on your average ticket item, what it's going to take to get to your 2022 revenue goals and business goals. And so make sure that you get that worksheet. And then I would encourage you, just in the workbook, or again on a sticky note somewhere, what are your 3 internet marketing initiatives that you need to implement to reach your 2022 goals? What do you need to do to the website? What do you need to do regarding search engine optimization? Do you need to start local service ads? Do you need to start Google ads? Maybe it's a Facebook ad. If people don't know to search for you, then a Facebook ad may be the direction you need to go in. But you need to do something. And there's lots of platforms out there. And my camera keeps sputtering on me, but you got to put some action behind this. So it's not enough just to talk about it. We've got to do something there. And so hopefully you've learned something, and hopefully there's some takeaways, and you're walking away. We covered how to set goals for 2022. Again, that's not revolutionary. It's not like this was the first time you ever heard that you should set goals, but hopefully you spend a few minutes while we've been together writing those goals down. And we talked about some of the fundamentals of marketing success and optimizing your website, knowing your avatar, and then the big picture of all the online marketing channels that you should be tapping into to maximize your lead flow online. If Google local service ads have worked for you, get in on those. Search engine optimization can certainly work for you. Google ads and Facebook ads, on the most part, work for pretty much everybody. And then there's, again, those trends, like making sure that people can text you, making sure that people can chat you on your website, and making sure that the only option is not just to call you, because less and less people want to make phone calls. And then hopefully you've got a custom action plan based on where you are now, looking at your revenue, what you hit in 2021, where you want to go in 2022. And what's it going to take to get there? How many calls a month am I going to need? How many jobs a month am I going to need? How many new clients? How many new policies have I got to write? Whatever it is for you, how many of those is it going to take month after month in 2022 to get to where I want to be at the end of 2022, so that when we're all together in December of 2022, and I ask you, did you hit your goals? You are telling me that you not only hit them, you blew them out of the water. You crushed your goals. And that's my hope for you next year. And so hopefully between the workbook that we've given you and what we've talked about here today, and the worksheet, and if you can get a KPI dashboard in place somewhere where you can track your leads, and you're watching those, and you're making sure that there's some follow-up. If you can get some automated follow-up in place, I definitely think you're going to see a big difference. And so thanks for sticking around. I want to make sure that you go to webinars.socialspheremedia.com. We'll drop the link in chat there, and you can go to that link, and you can grab this graphic here, which is kind of a guide to all the different platforms that you want to examine and see if they will work for if they'll work for your industry. Not all of these will. Home Advisor may not be, if you're a grocery store, or the Home Advisor is not going to help you out any. But is Yelp relevant to you? Is a Facebook ad relevant to you? Is YouTube relevant to you? Is Twitter something that you should be engaging in? And for a lot of people, it's not, but for some people, it can be very beneficial. So this is just a guide to really go through, and there's some online marketing, but it may be that you need a physical rewards program or a referral program, and think through what you could do to start getting referrals. And that's number 8 there. And so you can, take that, work through this, think about it, and pull from that what you think would be beneficial to you. And then the second is the checklist. And there's a ton of items on this checklist. And if you'll take it, you'll download it, and you'll just commit to spend a little bit of time each week checking these things off and going through these. And getting a plan in place to be active on social media and leverage marketing automation, get some tracking in place, and optimize your website for conversion. So there's some questions on there and things that you can just check off. And then if you'll get in place, I guarantee you'll see the needle begin to move a little bit. And of course, we're here to help. If a lot of times people say, yeah, that all sounds great, but I just don't have time to do that. Here, do that for me. If you would like to talk to me about how we could possibly help you, you can go to socialsphere.link/discovery, and you can schedule a 15-minute call. My calendar's on there. We can Zoom for 15 minutes and see, and I can tell you more about what we have to offer specifically, and see if we might be a good fit. If you might be interested in our services, or you can shoot me a message. You can find me on Facebook, John O. Long. Or you can text me at that number, at the 9989 number. Get in touch however you want to do it. But I would love to talk to you, but no pressure there, because I really do think there's a lot of things that you can do on your own without hiring anybody like me. There's a lot of things that you can do on your own to optimize your website, to get some automation in place, to stop wasting money on ads, and really dial in your online marketing platforms and what's going to work for you. But most of all, set the goals for 2022. Where do we want to be at the end of 2022? And evaluate those every quarter. Make sure that we're staying on track, adjust if needed, and then get the things in place, the website optimization, the ads that need to be in place to get us enough calls, enough phone calls, enough form fills that will convert into new customers or new clients that will convert into revenue that'll help us hit our 2022 goals. So I believe in you guys. I think you're going to crush it. I think if you'll set some goals, it'll be a night and day different than the past years, and maybe you didn't set goals. So again, thank you so much for being here. You guys on Facebook and YouTube, thanks for tuning in, and be on the lookout. We do a webinar every month, and so be sure to check those out. Stay in touch. And again, I appreciate you being here, and we will see you. We will see you soon. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and Happy New Year if we don't talk to you before.